Welcome to Balanced Black Girl, a podcast dedicated to mental, physical, and emotional health from the Black woman's perspective. Tune in to hear from Black woman health and wellness experts giving the approachable advice you need to help you feel your best. I'm your host, Lestrandra Alfred. Let's dive in. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Balanced Black Girl. I am your host, Les, and I am so happy to be back with real-time new episodes. Last month, which is February of 2021, if you're listening to this in real time, I took the month off from creating content, and I will have an episode coming later this month about that and about the lessons I learned in regards to rest. But today's episode is going to be a little bit different. First, I have to say I am really excited to start incorporating more solo episodes into our flow here at Balanced Black Girl. If you are an OG listener, you might remember back in the day when I used to do Feel Good Friday episodes. So I used to do my usual Tuesday interviews, and then on Fridays, I would come out with these shorter, bite-sized episodes with different wellness tips and tricks and that fun stuff. We're not quite doing that. We are going to do a version of that, though, that feels better and more relevant for today. So still have episodes coming out on Tuesdays, still interviews every other Tuesdays, and between the interviews, we'll be doing a couple more shorter solo episodes with just me. And we're going to be walking through some things in real time. That might be moving meditations, that might be shorter anecdotes related to things that are going on, could be reflections like what we're going to do today. I love the interviews, and I also love getting to talk directly to you, and I am excited to get to do a little bit more of the latter. So keep tuning in here on Tuesdays. We're going to keep doing these amazing interviews because there are so many incredible Black women doing incredible things, and I'm also excited to get to speak directly to you more. So today's episode is starting that new flow. Again, it's going to be a little bit different, and we are going to get started with some reflection. So if you're listening to this episode the week it's coming out, which is the second week of March 2021, we are now at the 1-year mark of COVID being declared a pandemic and all of our lives changing drastically. When thinking about that, feels like a good time for clear reflection. So I want to invite you to do some reflecting with me. If you've listened to Balanced Black Girl before, or if you're familiar with me, you know we love a good journaling moment around here. So if you would like to put your reflections on paper, I invite you to grab a journal or even switch over to your notes app and write down your thoughts throughout this conversation as I prompt you to do so. So I think we can all remember where we were last March and some of the last things we did when life felt more normal, whatever that means, at least with what normal used to look like. Reflecting back on that time, I couldn't help but think, man, if I knew what was coming, I would have spent those last couple of weeks in February or those first couple of weeks of March very differently. I actually have a very vivid memory of my last quote-unquote normal night out last March, and how, if I'm being honest, it just wasn't a very good night. I was on a date that just wasn't really the move or the vibe for me, and I've spent quite a bit of time over the past year wishing that I would have spent that night differently, wishing that I would have been hanging out with my friends instead, and how I wish I would have spent that time, right? That I would have spent it with people near and dear to me, because I haven't seen so many of those people in person in a long time. And that was my last chance to do so for a while, even though I didn't know it. And I'm sure that's a feeling many people can relate to of, oh, we would have done things so differently, right? But when I start thinking that way, I have to pull myself back And if you agreed that you could relate to that thought, I want to invite you to do the same. Let's reel ourselves in here because we can coulda, woulda, shoulda all day long, but it doesn't help us unless we apply the lessons that we're learning. And the big lesson that I learned from that experience is to be so cognizant and aware of my time and my energy. I want to be just as discerning about where and how and with whom I spend my time with as I am about where and how and with whom I spend my money with. We all have the gift of discernment. We have all had times where we used it and we were grateful. And we have all had times where we didn't use it and we wished we had. But with that, one of the biggest lessons I've learned on the anniversary of this week is to really use my discernment. Because we can't predict the future, right? This time last year, none of us could have predicted that this is what was going to happen. And we also can't change the past. But we can lean into what's happening right now. We can lean into our discernment right now, our best judgment, our relationship with Spirit to guide us. We can lean into getting quiet and going within to listen to our intuition for the decisions that we need to make right now. And that is so important. And when I think about those times where I really wish I would have spent my time differently, back then I had the discernment being like, I'm not that into this, or I don't really want to do this, and didn't listen, right? And we've now learned why it's so important to listen. That's one of my biggest lessons or reflections. And I want to give you a turn to reflect. So what has been your biggest lesson or learning or aha moment over the past year? What does your current relationship with discernment and intuition look like? Feel free to hit pause here and write down your thoughts. And whenever you're ready to come back, hit play and I'll be here. It's almost smoothie season, y'all, but the rookie move is skipping your protein when blending up your smoothie. I know when I don't add protein to my smoothies, I get tired, I get groggy, I feel hungry again about 5 minutes later, and I have a bit of an energy crash. Vega Protein and Greens is my go-to for adding much-needed protein to my smoothies and also making them creamy, satisfying, and delicious. All of Vega's products are vegan, non-GMO project verified, and free of artificial ingredients. Vega Protein and Greens is packed with vitamins and minerals to support your immune system. It's made from real food ingredients, and each scoop has about 20 grams of protein, which we need to stay satiated, to keep our hair, skin, and nails healthy, to keep our muscles healthy. I also love that Vega is easy to find at so many local grocery stores and is also at a really great price point. Head to myvega.com/balance to check out their full product line. That's myvega.com/balanced. Here at Balanced Black Girl, we are all about learning from incredible experts, and that is why I am so excited that today's episode is sponsored by Skillshare. With Skillshare, you can find inspiration in the moment and learn how to express your creativity through incredible self-paced classes related to just about any topic. I recently took Plants at Home, Uplift Your Spirit and Your Space with Christopher Griffin, also known as Plant Queen. And y'all, after taking that class, my houseplants are happier than ever, especially with me taking care of them in a new space. Some other incredible classes include Journaling for Self-Discovery with Yasmin Cheyenne and Confidence for Creatives by Eugenia Washington. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. So much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. Skillshare is also incredibly affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops that could be really expensive and aren't the safest option right now. In fact, an annual subscription is less than $10 a month. There are endless classes to choose from. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/balanced and get a free trial of premium membership. That's Skillshare.com/balanced. Can't wait to hear about what you learn. I hope that reflection was helpful for you and was able to bring some worthwhile thoughts and feelings to the forefront. Now I want to transition a bit and talk about some of the feelings that have come up that we're all experiencing in various degrees. Anything from loneliness to isolation, grief, burnout, creativity, nostalgia, perseverance. Those are just some of the big ones that come to mind. But first, I want to talk a little bit more about loneliness and isolation. Specifically for us as Black people, we thrive in community. We're raised in community. Our community and our family, chosen and unchosen, is so important in our culture. And having so many limitations around not being able to see one another and commune and worship in the ways that our DNA has been ingrained to do is really challenging. And at this point, a year into it, a lot of us are truly hitting a wall, and that's so understandable. And then there's burnout. The daily demands of life have not eased as we have navigated all of this. We are still working, we are still living, we're still trying to figure out how to survive. And then on top of all of that, the magnitude of loss and grief we have experienced individually and as a collective is beyond understanding. I don't think that on a larger scale, we truly understand what's happened and the effects that will have on us. Those are just some of the few challenges that we faced. And then on the other hand, we Black people doing what we do, being who we are, our art, our music, our creativity, our language has continued to influence, to empower, to entertain. And I would argue that Black art and creativity and liveliness has really what's gotten almost everybody through this past year, right? It really has. I don't know about you, but that all gives me a lot of feelings all at once. Still feeling that grief, those moments of isolation, burnout, feelings of despair if I have to get on one more Zoom call, all while still finding relief and joy in Black art and humor and creativity. So if you have your journal out and you are reflecting with me, now would be a good time to hit pause and write down your thoughts there. Freely acknowledge the highs and the lows, knowing that there is space for both and everything in between. It is all true and it is all valid. But if you have not let yourself express any of that in a while, please grab your journal and do so now. And when you hit play again, I'll be right here. Welcome back after taking that time to reflect on the highs, lows, and everywhere in between. So now I invite you to get hopeful with me. Now in 2021, there are new signs of hope. We're seeing numbers move in a hopeful direction. Winter is ending. We are approaching spring, which is the season of rebirth and new life. The days are getting longer. We're moving closer to the sun. Experts are hopeful that things will continue trending in a positive direction. Vaccines are rolling out, and we can start moving closer to normalcy, though the definition of normal will likely change. Thinking about the lessons we reflected on earlier in the episode, and the feelings and highs and lows we acknowledged just now, what do you want to bring with you as we move forward? Maybe the story I shared earlier about discernment and judgment resonated with you. Or maybe you were able to acknowledge and tap into some incredible creativity over the past year. And as we inch towards normalcy, maybe you want to share what it is that you create. Maybe you feel inspired to make that move you've always wanted to make, or launch that thing, or tell that person how you feel, because life is short. Or maybe you're even more inspired to focus on your health, to draw better boundaries, to say no. Maybe you want to fully invest in yourself. Or maybe you want to fully, deeply, deliciously, unapologetically dive into rest. Actually, I recommend that last one for everyone. There is no right or wrong here. There's only what's right for you. And the best way to know what is right for you is to allow yourself to go inward and reflect, which is what we're doing right now. So take some time to put into words what you're hopeful for and what you want to bring with you as we move forward. Feel free to hit pause, to write down all that you're hopeful for. Don't hold back. Don't let what other people are or are not hopeful for influence you. Whatever has been put on your heart is on your heart because it is possible for you. So go ahead, hit pause. Hopefully this is your longest pause where you can really take some time to dive into your hopefulness. And I'll be right here when you hit play again. Welcome back. How did that feel? How did it feel to get hopeful? Was it hard? Was it easy? Did it flow? Did you have maybe some blocks? No right or wrong answer here, but it is good to be in tune with how you're feeling. And if it was hard for you to be hopeful just now, maybe you can come back to it at another time. You can keep working at it. Either way, I really want to thank you for taking time to reflect with me. I love and appreciate you so much, and I know we are going to get through this together. If this episode resonated with you, or if you have reflections you would feel comfortable sharing, please head to our latest Instagram post at Balanced Black Girl Podcast and leave us a comment telling us what you're hopeful for. I look forward to cheering you on and awaiting the good news that is to come for you. As always, thank you for listening. I am sending you so much love, and we will be back soon with new interviews. So until then, take care. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Balanced Black Girl Podcast. I hope this conversation helped inspire you on your own personal self-care and well-being journey. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and head to balancedblackgirl.com for show notes and more information. If you'd like more support finding your balance, join our private membership community for self-care tools, exclusive content, and more. Visit balancedblackgirl.com/community for more information. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to share it with a friend. Thanks so much for tuning in.